So gender and class are interrelated. In other words, working class women do not only face gender discrimination but class exploitation as well. So do you think that using class lens to gender issues is also needed in a country like Pakistan?
Absolutely. I mean, I think when we talk about gender, we always also talk about intersectionality in terms of, women are not like men. Women are not a homogeneous group. When we usually say women as if this is one big group that all think alike, that have similar challenges, and that's not the case. It is very different. And I mean, there are multiple layers, right? So if you happen to be in Pakistan, if you're from Punjab, from Lahore, upper class, there's a certain level of privilege. You can be a woman from Thar, from a Hindu minority community. There's a very different reality that you face, right? So you can add more layers to it. You can add, if you're a woman with disability or a woman living with HIV/AIDS, all these all these things I think have to be taken into account. And one example where recently this year there was this Aurat March, right? And there was a lot of hue and cry in the media, and part of it was also many people trying to say, oh, this is a non-issue, or this is an issue that only affects a small segment of affluent, privileged women, and to say that this wasn't an issue for women. But as you began to really look at how vast and widespread the Aurat March was, it spoke to women in Hyderabad, it spoke to lower income groups, it spoke to upper income groups. So I think the issue is that sometimes we say that, okay, we should only focus on rural, most marginalized, and that's absolutely true. But I will say at the same time, the urban affluent woman who is in Lahore or in Karachi, who comes from a very affluent family, has all the amenities at her disposal, but there are also challenges that she faces that one has to understand, and one should not diminish that. So again, in some of these very affluent families, everything looks rosy, but they are victims of violence. Some of them do not even have bank accounts in their own name. They have to use their husband's bank account. And that's a level of deprivation which may not be the case with women lower down the chain. Because we find sometimes women who are very poor actually are more mobile than the very rich, because out of necessity, they are moving around. But the kind of social, cultural, religious restrictions we often have at more urban, affluent women, they can't leave the house without permission. So I'm just saying that we have to obviously apply that lens in terms of privilege. But I try to avoid saying, well, just because you happen to be socioeconomically very well off, that doesn't mean that your challenges in terms of gender, in terms of access, are much better necessarily than somebody who isn't in that same class. But then you have to look at not just class, ethnicity, race, disability, all different aspects.